On today's episode on WarpDriveM, we are going to start tearing the BMW, the 7 Series apart in order to take the engine out, or maybe in this process we are going to find out what's wrong with the engine. Intake out, but it's not full of water as I thought. Okay, these are the secondary air pump, this one and this one. I took already the bolts from this one out because I want to see if we have water in there, but what I saw, it was just oil leak from the gasket from the intake. We have some water in here, but there is no way from there to the intake. All the ports are clean because it's direct injection, port injection, sorry. All the injectors go directly into the where the valves are. That's why we have the valves so clean, but no sign of water in here. What we have in here is nothing. It's like from the old leak from here, but now we have new hoses in here. I have to take the water pump out, apparently, yes, in order to take this line out and to take this cover for the valley, because I want to see here what we have in here. Pretty sure nothing wrong for sure, but if nothing is wrong, why we have water and that amount of water on the intake? We have 4 NOx sensor, one in here, 2 on each bank, and the other one. So if you want to replace the NOx sensor, you have to take the intake out. Okay, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper, and I'm going to try to I have no idea, I don't know, because it's not that bad. This is just an update. I took everything that I could from the front of the engine out, because, like I've said, parts for parts, I'm going to take everything out in order to take the engine out, because it will be way easier to do that. But when I took this out, the cover from the valley, ta-da! We have a problem, Houston, we have a problem. And the problem is that the water is here. Not that it is not that the water shouldn't be here, but every time I started the car, I thought the engine was empty. In fact, we still had a lot of water in the engine, in the valley here between the V's. And I'm pretty sure the engine was pulling water, or we have a crack somewhere, and this is the water that was pulling from the engine. What's strange about this is that we have water on both banks, so cannot be the cylinder head, because it should be one bed or the other one, but I'm not sure that, or I cannot believe that both of the banks had a bad cylinder gasket. and that's why I think the engine block has a crack somewhere and is pulling water on both banks, and that's why it's throwing out on both banks. But the problem is that we have in here coolant. I'm not really sure that on the exhaust is coolant, because here where the water was is clean. It's, see that spot is like the water washed the concrete in here, so it's not coolant, because coolant will leave a mark. So this one is just evaporated. Not really sure. And if it's not water from the engine, is there a point in this work to take the engine out without having a problem? Still have no idea, and I think I'm going to take the engine anyway out, and I'm going to tear it apart. Maybe I will find something in, not really sure, because the whole problem is crazy enough. Now I'm draining the oil. You can clearly see that the oil is not contaminated with water or different stuff. Normal oil. Yep. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to take all the water, residual water out, oil, and all the cables or nuts or bolts that are from the engine to the chassis, and after that we are going for the bolts that are between the gearbox and the engine. It should be 4 bolts in there. I just have to rotate the engine and take those out. And now, in order to remove the bolts between the gearbox and the engine, we have to have a 26 or 27. It's going to work with both. Socket in here to turn the crank, and you can see in there that we have a 17 millimeter bolt. Just a second, because I've already loosened this up. I'm going to take this out in order to show you how it looks like, and it's like that. And we should have 4 bolts, if I'm not mistaken. And let me try to show you. Turn the engine. Now we can see the second one, and I'm going to repeat the process till all the bolts are out. All 4 are out. We have them in here. And now the bolts from the gearbox, it will be E12, a bunch of them, and on top I'm pretty sure that we have E10. And the tricky part is to take the other ones out. Just a second to focus in there and right up in there. That's going to be a little bit tricky. And I think this is the last bolt between the gearbox and the engine. Not really sure if you can see something, but I've used a lot of extensions and swivel head, and it's coming out. The last one, I think. I've used this one. Let's not ruin something now. Okay, I've used this one. And now I cannot take the extension out because it's hitting the chassis. Okay, I have to use my both hands, but you've got the point. This is the last one. No other ones we have in here. See all the holes? Yep. And this is the crazy setup that I've used in order to take all the bolts out. You will have a plate, the same bolts between the engine and the gearbox, but you will have a plate on the right side, on the left side I mean, because I think the gearbox is universal and some models will have the starter on this side. The right-hand drive cars, I'm not really sure, but that's why I think we have this plate. And on this plate we have bolts and nuts. These are a little bit tricky to take out because you have to hold the nuts in place. But other than that, we have everything out from the engine and gearbox. And I'm going to work a little bit off camera in order to prepare everything. I'm going to check all the cables, wires, hoses and stuff like that. And if everything is okay, I think we are ready to pull the engine out. This is the next day. I have a mess in here, everywhere just parts. I took last night as much as I could from the engine. In here, of course, parts everywhere, and ta-da! I removed almost everything. In fact, everything from the front of the car. We have more access to the engine now. I'm going to remove off camera a few parts. Maybe I'm going to take the heads off. And if I see head gasket, I'm going to rebuild it in here. If I don't see anything wrong in there, we are going to take the engine out without the head gaskets. I think it's going to be way easier. Or maybe I'm going to leave the head gaskets and I'm going to pull the engine out as is. Not really sure, but all of that will be in the next episode. I think I'm going to close the video in here, and if you want to see more progress on this one, join me for the next episode. If you like this episode, please give me a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, as usual, thumbs down. Until next time, see you later.